Hi, welcome to Great Goodness. I'm so glad that you're watching this episode. I'm so excited to be here with my partner, Karen Stewart,
Hello.
and our guest, Liz.
Hi.
Yay. Um, so I think you're going to really love what you're about to hear. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you stay to the end to get the creative prompt. And if you're someone who's putting goodness into the world, then make sure you let us know because we want to talk to you and share that goodness, just like we're going to share Liz's goodness today. And I'm not going to start talking about it early. I've been talking about it all morning, driving everybody crazy. So, I'll go ahead and I'll let Karen start us off with an oracle card.
All right. Okay. So today, we're not doing fortune telling and we're not asking specific questions of the cards today. Um, I love tarot and oracle cards, and we do kind of an intuitive thing with them where we're just going to pull a card, just be open to the imagery, and wherever it takes you is fine. So that's what we're going to do. Oh, today, let me tell you about the deck first. This is a new deck. I may have a problem with buying tarot and oracle decks. This is the card I'm going to pull is from the Dream Song, and this is the lovely guidebook, the Dream Song Oracle. And this deck was written by Angie Sullins. The artwork is by Marta Orlowsk, and it's published by US Games. So we are not compensated for that little advertising plug right there. I love this deck. This is what the backs of the cards
I
look
love
like.
that. I
Sweet little
love these.
fox on
Yeah.
a reflection of a fox. So I have shuffled the bejeebies out of these cards, and I'm going to do it a little bit more. And okay, you guys see it when I see it. Okay. Can you
Oh,
see that?
yeah. No,
Okay, I'm just going to read the words. And this deck is really interesting because it offers a way what the artist and the author are intending is suggestions for the way to honor like your journey, your
like your higher
true
self.
higher self. Yeah,
Mm.
some woo. It's some woo. Yeah, some woo. So this card is card number 23. It says, "Fly the wings of worthiness."
Mm.
And look at that. Fly the wings of worthiness.
That's
And
really so
so,
beautiful.
right, so I am drawn to, well, I'm drawn to the moon as always. I love the little smiling sliver of moon in the sky and the whiteness. There's so much white light in this card.
Are those birds? I know there's one I would call it a dove, but I don't really know if it's
I
supposed to be a
think that
dove.
those are
The
leaves on
leaves.
her. Yes, they're
Okay.
like dark leaves.
Okay.
And doesn't she look so pensive? It's like she is knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
She feels knowing to me.
Absolutely. And I love the imagery with the tree always kind of still growing as well.
Right?
Hmm.
Yes. And the tree is kind of the same shades as the night.
Yeah.
And it looks like the bird, like maybe she's been holding the bird close to her and is maybe ready to release.
Hmm.
Or maybe the bird is ready to take flight, or maybe not.
Hmm.
This just feels like a knowing. I just feel like this is about knowing something deeply
Well,
and that there is light in the night.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fly the wings of worthiness. Yeah, and I think it's really interesting to me because every card you pull to me connects to our guest for that day.
Right?
And when I look at this card, I can see so many ways that I feel like it connects to Liz and the work that she does and the work that we
Hmm.
asked her here to talk about today. Because she works. uh, So can I just go ahead and start? I'm
I
going
think
to.
this is a
Yeah,
good intro to the intro.
it is. So fly
And
the
so
wings of
you all just
worthiness.
hold
Yeah.
this in your heart and have your way with it. Yeah.
And that letting go and that light and the darkness because so we're going to do a sort of non-traditional bio for Liz today. Now, she is very accomplished. She has all kinds of wonderful things we can say about her. But what I want to share is how I came across her. Um, we connected through writing. So we connected through a creative expression. I read an article that she wrote about pet therapy notes. Now,
Mm.
I am a pet lover. I'm an animal lover, and I've lost a lot of them because I've always had them, and I've always loved them, and it has been shattering to me most times. Uh, and so a lot of grief. And I saw what she's doing with pet therapy notes, which I'm not gonna do this justice, Liz. You're gonna have to really go into describing this, but I feel like she created a space where you are safe to grieve, where your grief is validated, and where you can find some resources and some tools to move with that grief. I don't think grief ever really ends. Once we've loved, we will always have loved, and
Mhm.
and we will always know that love, and honestly, we'll always know that absence of that physical form. And um, and so anyway, so I was reading pet therapy notes and I thought, why do I not know about this? Why does everyone not know about this? I spend a lot of time at the vets because I've had so many dogs.
Right.
One of my dogs is healing from knee surgery right now. And I'm telling you, every time I'm in there, someone has lost a pet and they are
Mhm.
devastated. They are
So, okay,
devastated.
I have to interrupt. So, is
Okay,
Pet Therapy Notes then, is this like a blog that you found online,
go
Angie?
ahead. Oh, well, let's let Liz talk about it. Because
Okay.
this is the power of writing. This is the power of creating
Mhm.
and being bold enough to put it out into the universe because
Mm.
she can created this. She's writing about it. I come across it and read it. Then she is gracious and generous enough to go, "Oh, Angela seems to have written something. Let me go read that." And
Oh,
she and
nice.
I have this whole other connection through our fathers and sort of our relationships with our fathers. And and she saw that through my writing, and it was, I just feel like I've known you. Like, I feel like I know you. Like,
Mm.
in fact, my spirit does know you. My soul does know you.
I
And
feel that
that's,
same connection. Yeah.
yeah. And so that's the power of creative expression. Okay. Now, Liz, what is pet therapy notes?
Okay. So if you asked me a few years ago, the definition, how I describe it, would be different than how it is today. Um,
Mm,
it's evolved. My background is in counseling. I have a master's in counseling psychology, and I was interested in it academically. So I went into the field and absolutely hated it once I was in it.
Oh,
I'm an anxious person. Like I just have this anxious temperament to me, which has gotten better. I totally have worked on it, but it's just always going to be there. And counseling was not the right field for me to be in.
mm.
Um,
mhm,
my life was very heavy. I felt too much. I
mhm,
didn't separate enough. So in any case, I have that background, but I've never been happy or really okay in the actual field.
Mm.
So because loans, right? And we have to make a certain
mhm.
amount of money. I did stay in it for about 12 years, maybe. Yeah,
Wow.
about 12 years.
Ooh.
Anyway, then my dog died in 2018 and everything changed.
Mhm,
Um, this dog I had adopted when I was 24. He died when I was 37. He like represented so much more than just like his presence held memories, times in my life that were no longer, people that were no longer in it. He saw me through two marriages, you know.
mhm,
So many of us
mhm.
have this type of bond with our pets, and they're like these little silent witnesses and memory boxes. So when he died,
Oh,
it was just like I didn't know how to do life after. Like I
Yeah.
wanted my before back, you know? And I was in really deep grief and I didn't know what to do. Like I was confused as to why I'm still grieving. I wanted to help myself so badly. And I felt so sad for that part of me that was like
mm,
struggling to do something to feel better, but there was just nothing. So I became really interested in reading about pet bereavement. and learning everything I could about it. I also did an informal survey asking people who have lost their pets what that experience was like, what helped them, um, adopting after loss, many different areas. So anyway, so I had all this knowledge, and I decided that I'm gonna go back, gonna do counseling, but just for pet bereavement therapy. That's it. So we're not gonna see people for any other issues, just pet bereavement therapy. I got so far as to signing a lease or almost signing a lease, and then totally freaked myself out and was like, wait a minute, I don't want to do this. This is
That's a
like
lot.
feeling really heavy. Yeah. And just that same responsibility that was always triggering in the counseling field. And I should say that I did direct face-to-face counseling for a few years, but then I did like more behind the scenes work at an insurance company where I was still using clinical skills, but it wasn't face-to-face. So that was like a lot safer.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I
Yeah.
realized there's really no separating like pet bereavement from other, emotions that you're
Yeah.
going through. Um, so I was very embarrassed, and
Mm-hmm.
I, then told everyone, I've decided I'm not going to do it. And pet therapy notes originally was going to be like therapy. Um, and I encourage writing a lot in the work that I do. So that's where the name Pet Therapy Notes came
Yeah.
from. Um, Kind of also just like a lot of journaling that I find to be healing. So kind of the name kind of incorporates all that. And yeah, so then I was kind of floundering. I was like, oh my God, like I thought I was going to have this whole business with pet bereavement, and like now I'm not. And what do I do with the site? And it just kind of turned into a resource site where I've, I guess, picked it up and put it down over the past, now it's like 7 years, which is crazy, 6 or 7 years. And I guess where I've finally landed is that I like to write different pieces about different aspects of loss, pet
Mm-hmm.
loss, um, and share them because I think that we don't talk enough about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm not afraid to say some of the things that we sometimes don't want to talk about. Just as a side note, I also talk about, in addition to pet loss, I also talk about strained relationships with pets. So kind of grief.
You do.
Yeah. So that's a really big thing for me. Grief over not getting the pet you wanted. Right. And I
Oh,
say that because like shortly after my dog Tovi died, I was like, I need to get another dog. It's going to fix me. I'm going to feel better. So I initially, had like my checklist. I wanted an adult, I wanted a dog who, whose personality and temperament I could see, just calmer. Anyway, I looked on Pet Finder a lot, and every dog I found was like already adopted. It's that high of like, oh my God, I might get this dog. And you almost feel like attached, and then
oh,
you don't have them. Yeah. So I end up going to a shelter. I dragged my husband to a shelter, and I was like, we're just going to adopt a dog today. Like, I need a dog. I cannot wait any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just picked literally the first dog I saw. A volunteer was outside walking the dog. And I was like, I'll take that one. It was like I was calling dibs because there were other people around. And I was like, oh my God, someone might get a dog before me. There'll be none left. So I'm just going to take that, which was not a good decision.
uh,
She ended up she was 5 months old. So she was still in the puppy stage. And when I met her, she was friendly enough. Like she licked my face and I was holding her and it was great. But then a few days later, she got spayed and I picked her up and it was like a different dog. She was
Wow.
oh,
fearful of everything. She was aggressive. I couldn't bring her to events the way that I would bring Tovi to events or like
Mm-hmm.
hiking, it was like she was a really special needs dog behaviorally, and I couldn't accept that. I wanted to change her. I always worked with her, hoping one day she can be the kind of dog that I can bring to a restaurant. And
Mm-hmm.
and it was like I realized then that it's just there's so many people who have these like emotional disappointments, I guess. And I
Mhm.
learned to love her for who she was eventually. Was it ever like, oh my God, I'm deeply in love with her? No, but I was her mom, and I gave her everything I had, and I gave her the best life.
Mm-hmm.
But it was my expectations set me up for a bad, really complicated relationship with her. So I think that's also important to talk about, that emotional weight of having a pet that's really challenging.
Yes.
Oh,
We always see these like Hallmark dogs on TV, that are like these great golden retrievers that are just running around in a field and happy. And it's like, that's not really what like all
that
dog experiences are
that
like.
is
Like,
not every dog.
that
That
is
is
not
not
every
every
dog.
dog.
Like,
I don't think that's
dogs might
most
not.
dogs.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not most dogs. Like, dogs might
Yeah.
not like other dogs,
Mhm.
like, um, your dog may not be able to just kind of roam in a field. It might run away. Like, it's just
Yeah.
not realistic.
Yeah.
We don't all have
Yeah.
those. Your dog might destroy your house. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
stressful things we go through as a pet owner. So I really want to acknowledge that. And, Angela, the way you just said how writing kind of connects us, someone reached out to me that had read my article. And this article was on rehoming and kind of validating those losses as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, I
because,
was gonna talk to you
uh,
about this one.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's so many different types of ways to lose an animal,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the rehoming. I think people make these villains who rehome animals out to be like the worst people in the world. And yeah, sometimes they're not good people. Sometimes they don't care about their pet, and they're just moving and it's convenience and they don't want to take a pet with them.
Mm.
But sometimes, and I know this firsthand from working in a shelter, there are such sad situations that like we cannot even imagine, where people just can't
Mm-hmm.
keep their pets. Let's say that, you're being evicted. Well, people might say, well,
Oh,
I
yeah.
live with a pet in the car. And it's like, well, you know what? This person might not have a car,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
like, really, if you saw a person living with a pet in the car, you might call animal control. Like, there's just
Mm-hmm.
so much more to certain stories. And then when people do rehome, they're just shamed. You see on the internet, like these trolls, like people like wishing death
Yeah.
upon rehomers. I have a friend who had a dog they loved for maybe like 5 or 6 years, and they had a baby, and the dog was just attacking the baby
Yeah.
constantly. And it was a really dangerous situation. And they tried so much, but ultimately, like, they couldn't keep the dog. And these real life situations happen. And I'm just so tired of people being like so shamed for this. And then, like, on top of the shame they already feel.
Right.
So,
Yeah, there's the guilt. We had
oh, yes.
I'm feeling it. We had my family had to rehome our dog. Our dog developed some kind of psychotic directed at me, and it would come
Mhm.
over him randomly. Like I would be in another part of the house, and most of the time he was fine. It was great, and we had this dog for months and months. And then his eyes would kind of change. He would hear my voice and he would hunt me down and be growling and trying to rip me to shreds. We
Oh
had an
my God.
animal psychologist came to the house and tried to
Mhm.
do therapy with us. And he was just
Yes.
like, this is specifically targeted at you, and it's really dangerous.
Wow.
And you're gonna and my uncle had a friend that took the dog, and the dog lived like 20 years and never had a problem with anybody.
Wow.
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 But
And
I
I bet
lost
that's
my
really
dog. Oh my
complicated.
gosh. Oh, it was
Like,
so traumatic.
yeah.
Just me. I was the only person ever
And
that
Wow.
that had to
just
be so hard for you,
oh,
Carrie.
it's hard to talk about it now. And that's when I was like 15, 14 or 15.
Wow.
It's been a
Yeah,
long
you
time.
never forget those things. Like, they just stay with you.
Yeah, it's a
Oh
loss. I
gosh.
think people don't think about that though. In any kind of rehoming, they're just like, well, you are just foolish, horrible people that should have never gotten that dog.
Yes. And I think too, exactly, not knowing the situation, and what a loss that was for you too, to have your dog like that you were bonded with like suddenly turn on you.
Yeah, and the
Ah,
family, right? My sister and my
Yeah.
parents, it's like we loved Randall. We loved Randall. He was so
Yeah.
sweet.
Oh
and
gosh. Yeah, that's hard. And similarly, there are people who take on these. So Millie is the dog I adopted after Toby, and I learned that there are behaviorally challenged dogs. Like this is a thing because
Yeah.
I had never seen it before. I was like blessed and cursed with like the most perfect,
Mhm.
easygoing dog. And so I was in for quite the shock. And then I started learning, I started volunteering at the animal shelter and I working there later. And I just kind of learned like most dogs aren't these perfect dogs. You know, we
Mhm.
work, they have issues and we can work through them. And we have to adjust our lives sometimes to meet their needs. And not everyone can do that. Like
Right.
I'm in
That's a
this
privilege.
it's a
Yeah.
privilege. Plus, training is like super expensive. Having like dog therapists, behaviorists, like, and I totally did that with Millie too. But these
Yeah.
are not things that everyone can do.
Time.
And also, yeah,
We don't all have time. Like
we
my
don't all
husband.
have the
Yeah.
time.
And
Yeah.
Exactly.
sometimes it doesn't work, even if you have
Yeah.
the time. Sometimes it's just like,
Sometimes
it's not working.
sometimes it's just not working. And, you know, people will often say, like, I would, you know, you don't, an animal's like a child, then you don't give it up. And, you know, and it's like, of course, you know, we want to feel that way. First of all, our relationships with our pets are different, right? Depending on the pet, depending on what that pet means in your life.
Yeah.
I'm in a Fearful Dog Facebook group, and this so sad. I think people who have these like dogs that they get that are like scared of life and aggressive
Mhm.
go to this group for help. And this one woman said, oh, I have four little kids. This dog won't come out of a corner,
Oh,
growls, is terrified. And it's like, oh my God, this poor dog. But like, she's right. Her house isn't maybe the best fit for that dog because these
Mhm.
yeah.
kids are probably, this dog needs like a quiet home, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
she was doing all this work, but she was kind of like, I'm realizing this is just not the right place. And sometimes it's just not a fit, and not
Yeah.
everyone, just like, you know, the privilege of time, money, and then like emotional health. Like when I was
Mhm.
dealing with Millie, oh my God, like I was a mess. Like
Yeah,
my
you were
life,
already grieving.
I
I'm
was
like,
grieving. Oh my God, this
Yeah.
whole
this
situation was
shift.
horrible. I went into a like a day program like months later, like therapy to kind of process this. And I went into therapy like with a grief counselor specifically to help my relationship with Millie. I was like, I can't stop resenting her because she wasn't him. And she also reminded me of that like impulsive part of myself that adopted her because I was struggling and I just thought, okay, she'll make me feel better. And I was really
Mm.
mad at that part, you know? So it was hard just looking at her and all the stuff she represented. I was going somewhere with this. I'm losing my train of thought. I'm sorry.
That's fine because I have a train of thought and
Oh,
we'll get on my train.
always.
Perfect.
There are always many trains of thought.
Um, because I want people to know, okay, so we've shown what a space you create for people. It is this really safe space for people and the complexity of relationships around pets and the grief around losing a pet in many different ways. Um,
Mm,
but I want people to know how to use pet therapy notes. Like, do you still do the bracelets? Like, how do people like
yeah.
how does a person use this as a resource?
Yeah, that's something I've struggled with trying to get the site out there. Um, so in terms of, I guess, advertising, so to speak, I make no money from it, I should say. So this is totally something I do as kind of a hobby. So it can be kind of hard to market it because, you know, like I'm just spending money on it. I'm not bringing anything in. So that can feel like a challenge sometimes. But I have these business cards I made. And one big thing about pet therapy notes, so there's resources on different kinds of loss, different aspects of like compassion fatigue, guilt, traumatic loss, different specific areas. But there's also this section that I provide writing prompts. And my tagline is pet therapy notes. Every pet has a tale to tell, and it's
Mm,
TAIL. So that's on my business card. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, so I love that. So I've given business cards out to some vets offices, and I really haven't. I feel like it comes across as weird. Like I'll come in and be like, introduce myself and say I have this pet website for pet grief, and they'll be like, oh yeah, thanks. And I don't know if they're really giving them out or not. I just get like these vibes as if they're like thinking like, what is she doing? So then I decided I would make bracelets that go with the cards. So at time of euthanasia, um, the owner can be offered a bracelet that says like friend or love or run free. I had all these different kinds of sayings. And these bracelets were totally free. They're
Mhm.
super inexpensive to make. And I enjoy creating. So
Mhm.
it was good for me
I
too.
love
So,
this. Let me
Oh,
just say.
that's so
oh,
wonderful.
thank
I
you.
know. I know. I love this. This is
Oh,
so
Oh,
important. Okay, now go
thank
ahead.
you. Oh no, it's like when just having an object to hold on
Hmm.
to sometimes
Yes.
when you're going through
yes.
something like that can just be really meaningful and just grounding. So, so I started making these bracelets. I'm like, I'll put the bracelets like with the cards. So they can take a bracelet and a card. And it was going well at first. And then this is why I wrote the article. My own personal vet, who I had like felt like I developed a relationship with. This was a newer vet to me because my previous vet, who I'd been with forever, had retired. So when I was telling him about the site, he like loved it. And he was like, yes, let's put these in the euthanasia room, like, and the bracelets too, totally. And then I kind of felt like whenever I would offer more bracelets, like, do you need more bracelets or more cards? He kind of like, well, what's the site about? Like, what do you do? Like, it was just kind of like, it felt like, I don't know, like, trying to think of the right word, like minimizing, like just kind of like, I don't,
Um,
he wasn't understanding.
Hmm.
So then I connected with the practice manager at the vet, and she was just kind of like, our vets are really confused by what the card is and why we have these bracelets. And I was so embarrassed. So I kind of stopped doing the bracelets for a little, like, I don't know. I was
Okay.
humiliated.
Yes, I can understand that. But listen, I can understand that.
the people that get it will need it.
And that's
You
just,
know?
I see vets
Thank you.
trying to create a space for
Yeah.
exactly this. Like I've seen a vet, do a tree sculpture so you can do like an ornament
Mm,
type thing on the tree. So
Um,
all these different ways, because we need that. And, we need those rituals, we need those altars, so to speak, like if that's an
mhm.
yes.
okay word to use. And like
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you're talking about the bracelet, oh, you have to keep making these as long as your heart wants to make them, because I would have loved every pet I've put down, I've had to put down and let go. I have been with them long past when they left their body. And if
Hmm.
I could have left that room with something tangible, you
Yeah.
know, I it wouldn't have stopped the grief. It wouldn't have stopped the loss, but it would
It's a
have given me
comfort.
something to touch. Yeah,
It's a
like I'm even
It's a
just
comfort.
comfort
imagining
item.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
It's a comfort.
and I think this is why I wanted to have you on here, because that's the article I read and I thought, no, there is so much space for this. There is
Yeah.
so much need for this. And I wanted to have you on here because I want people to use this as a resource, and I want people who listen to this reach out to Liz, reach out to Liz and get some of these bracelets, get some of these cards and put them at your vet. Like a lot of vets have euthanasia rooms now, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
people, I can't even imagine what it's like to be a vet. Like going into the office and seeing some of the sadness and loss, what it is
Yeah.
like to sit to be in that at that front desk, what it is like to be the vet and to have to
Mhm.
process that much loss. I mean, it's got to be they must do
Yeah.
it every day, because every day I'm there,
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And and,
Yes,
and I'm like,
absolutely.
so I wonder if in some ways you may have run across people who just had put up a wall. Just we
Mhm.
don't have any more like they personally had no more space
Yeah,
to.
absolutely. And that's one thing too. And the vet, when I had initially gave out the cards, did say like, we see this all the time, and like we're not counselors, we don't know how to deal with this. So to have a
Mhm.
site, a space to give someone to go to would
Yeah.
be really, really healing and
Yeah.
helpful. And it helps them too, because then they have a resource. Even I even list individual counselors and support groups, and that sometimes those are what we need. And the vet said I would love referrals for those types of people, because I know some people that really benefit, but I
Hmm.
have no idea who to refer them
Right.
to.
Yeah.
Um, So, and if anyone wants a bracelets to give out at their vet, or a personal bracelet, I also make bracelets with the pet's name, and I can mail them to you just at cost. And those are really special to me also. So please don't hesitate to reach out for anything.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
That's
And
really important.
Liz's information will be down below in the about section. I'll put a link to all the different places you can find her, because you can find her writing on Medium and some places like that,
Mhm.
and really connect with her. Um, so okay.
That is such a beautiful thing for you to be
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah.
Because
Thank
it's so,
you.
losing the pet, it's just it's so heartbreaking. And when they, regardless of how, if you have the vet come to your home, which we've been fortunate to, the last several
Mhm.
pets, we've been fortunate to have that as an option, or whether you're in the vet's office or whatever, there's the moment where their physical body is not with you anymore, and there's
Mhm.
just this emptiness. And what a lovely thing to have a remembrance and a comfort item
Mhm.
Yes,
that
thank
Yes.
you.
just gives you something tangible to place that emotion in.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
really
Yeah, thank
special.
you so much. And I needed to hear that. And I think Angela, had mentioned at some point, you said, the people that need it are going to find it, are going to find it useful. And it's really true. I think there are, if it touches just, certain amount of people, that makes it meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I remembered where I was going before, just real quick. But the power of connection through writing. So people have
Mhm.
written to me who have read the articles and just said, like, oh my God, like, I've been thinking of rehoming my pet. And I'm so ashamed and I don't know what to do. And, my life is miserable. I'm so depressed. I'm not leaving the house because I can't leave the pet, all this. And it's like, it's so nice to give someone that permission to feel that way and to talk about
Yeah.
it, because I know I didn't feel it. There was no one I could talk to. I was ashamed. Your pet is like your life, like I would post pictures
Yeah.
on Facebook of, me and her and all the fun things we did. And it was really like, that wasn't a real relationship. It was really a
Yeah.
struggle. Um, and there's that emotional toll. So that's another privilege, is that emotional well-being. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because struggles with relationships, and that loss, it can really impact emotional well-being too. Millie
Mhm.
Millie died a few years ago. I had her for 5 years, and I'd say, like, life got so much lighter. Like, I miss her, I love her, but life just, it's different now. So it's
Yeah.
like, really, there's grief in a lot of different ways. We don't think about, we
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah, and the other thing about the bracelet too, I think, is like I was just thinking Wendell, our last dog that we lost him January 11th of 2024. And we had actually bought a home with a little piece of land, and we were able to bury him. So all the others, I have ashes, that I carry
Mhm.
around and set up a little altar each place I go.
Mhm.
But with him, I buried him and planted tulips, so they come up every
Oh,
spring, and I can be like, oh, Wendell.
Beautiful.
And so, but not everyone has that. So I do have this way of honoring and remembering him each spring. And I was thinking, so many ways that we get to do that are privileges, really.
hmm
It's a
yeah.
privilege to have a place. But whenever we talk about maybe, well, is this where we want to live forever? I'm like, well, we can't leave because Wendell's here,
Yeah.
and how can I?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I know he's not there, but he is there,
He is
and
there.
so I don't know. Anyway, I was just thinking about all the ways we grieve and how much privilege allows us to grieve
Yeah.
a little differently, and just
hmm
all the things that we don't think about with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Even just having the privilege of being able to take time off work to grieve, like, to take, not, you're
Yes,
not working three jobs and living paycheck to paycheck, where you can't even, like, take that break.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm so glad you
there's
said that.
so many
Yeah.
levels of privilege.
because when you were talking about difficult pets, I was thinking so I had a Brazilian Mastiff, Charlie. This dog was like a grown up old lady from the time I got her. I mean, from the time she was a puppy, like I don't know, she came housebroken. She never, I mean, she just went with me. I never
Love it.
needed a leash. Like, I mean, it
Yeah.
was like, what? Had her for 14 years. Okay.
Oh,
Devastated, devastated. Like
Mhm.
one day she didn't eat and I knew something was wrong and she
oh,
was gone 2 days later.
Mhm.
wow.
She was covered in cancer. And
Oh.
anyway, and so then I got my next dog. Oh, oh, Sam. I love Sam. Everybody loves Sam. But you had to run him 6 miles a day or
Oh,
he was going to
Mhm.
eat your house. Like, and you couldn't leave him because he would eat your house. I- He even ate the
Mhm.
back
yeah.
seat of my car one time. And I was like, I drove him by the shelter and I was like, you don't want to go back there, do you? Now listen, don't be eating my car anymore. And he never ate my car again. So I guess he knew English. So I don't know. But my point is I was a massage therapist and I ran a gym. So I was a physical trainer and a massage therapist. So he went with me. And so other people ran him, I ran him. Like that's the kind I had a life that worked for
Hmm.
this dog and he became a
Yes.
magnificent partner. Like
Yeah.
magnificent. I mean, everyone who met him was like, he's amazing. I was like, he didn't come that way. Like that took some time.
Yes.
And then we got Wendell. Wendell had been mistreated for 5 years. He'd nearly starved to death. He'd
Oh,
been beaten. And again, I was married by then, and my husband and we worked from home. We were
Right.
able, yep.
yeah.
And now we have these two puppies. And Ferdy, he's got just had a knee surgery. I don't know. I think Delilah broke his knee. I don't know what happened. And, but we had well, it's on a credit card, but we could pay for that knee surgery. We could pay for that therapy, and we work from home, so we're able to give him that
Hmm.
treatment every day and do all the things with him. Not everyone can do that. I
Yeah.
mean, it,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's heartbreaking. And sometimes that's the reason that pets get surrendered to a shelter because
Mm-hmm.
there's absolutely like no way someone can afford their care and they don't know what else to do.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's again, imagine the shame on top of the, giving
Yes.
this animal
Yeah.
that you love, you're giving away because you're hoping that they can do something that you can't, and then to be shamed. Well, they gave away their pet that, their 12-year-old
Yeah.
pet that, they didn't even care. They didn't do the surgery. They expected us to. It's like, it's a lot. And
It's a lot of judgment, right?
it's a lot of the
It's,
judgment
yeah.
and
But
like, yeah, and just how you had said, Angela, like you were able to like have the type of lifestyle where you were able to take your dog running, and do that, right? Like, can you imagine if you were a very sedentary person, maybe, you didn't have
right.
that type of lifestyle, like it would have been a lot harder, and your
Yes.
relationship would have been a lot different. So,
Yes.
yeah, so a lot to unpack, a lot to
It's a lot
unpack.
to unpack.
There, there
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
a need for somebody to help with grief over pets. There is
And
no doubt.
yeah.
That
and
is a much
Liz
needed,
has
yeah,
stepped
that
up.
is that is
Yes.
much needed, Liz. That is. So,
So
yeah,
I
because
should
there's
say I don't. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say I don't do counseling myself, um, because it's like too heavy for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a lot of recommendations for support groups and individual counselors, and it's there's resources out there, and there's even a woman that does consultations. She's an amazing trainer, and she does consultations on like challenging dogs and behavioral euthanasia and rehoming, and there's just resources that I wouldn't have known about if I hadn't encountered them. And I want people to know there are resources out there.
So I think it's really important to that we've talked a lot about pets, but I do want to talk a minute about you. So you, you're amazing. You you found your own boundaries. Like you knew you had a passion. You knew and you knew you had a gift. And I even heard you, say you did the survey to find out at the beginning of kind of this project, and I'm like, she put these clinical
Yeah.
skills to work there too. So you knew, here's my skills, here's my passions, here's my boundaries, though.
I
Here's
love
how I'm going to
Yeah.
that.
care for myself.
That's
It,
really important.
yes, and it's so amazing because you have shown the diligence and the perseverance to to express yourself creatively, create these things and care for yourself. What an amazing. I mean, I'm getting chills. I
Yeah.
just
Well
what
done.
Oh,
Yes.
Well done, ma'am.
oh my gosh, I love how you just framed that. Wow, wow, that I just feel like you see me, like you have been able to put in words that what I do but haven't been able to say. Like that having that
Yeah.
passion to educate, but my boundary of knowing that I can't be that support.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yes.
I love it so much that that's going to be our creative prompt today.
Okay.
Because because I think this is so important because I think as creative people, um, it's really, really easy for us to give more than is actually safe for our well-being to give, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and for many reasons, but that's a whole other show. I mean, we could talk about that for a long time.
We'll make a
Mhm.
note about
I,
that.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. But so this is the prompt for everyone. And I do think I know when I say prompt, people are probably like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a writing prompt." You can get those from Liz's website. And
Oh,
sometimes there will be a writing prompt here or an art prompt but I think it's also important to have creative living prompts, you know?
mm.
Mhm.
Okay, Karen, pull the card back out. Pull the card back out. What did it say?
Fly the wings of worthiness.
Okay. Because this is one of the reasons this reminded me of you. Um, is because it's important that we know that we are worthy of caring for ourselves and our boundaries. And we can
Yeah.
express ourselves creatively and still take care of ourselves. And that is flying the wings of worthiness, I think. I really
And
believe
it's
that.
honoring. We need to honor ourselves. Honor our
Yes.
feelings need to be honored by
Yeah.
ourselves as well as other people.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I would say that what I'd leave you with is looking if you ever start feeling that exhaustion, that compassion exhaustion or that creation
Mhm.
exhaustion or that, you know what I'm talking about. Y'all know.
Mhm.
Y'all know. You know that
That
feeling.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know, if you ever start feeling that, it's just like the bees in the body with Eiley we were talking about with Silk My Stage, or toothache, or whatever it is you get, right? When you start feeling that, where are are, are your boundaries in place? Or is your self-care in place? Are you giving yourself that space and that care and those boundaries you need because you are worthy of that?
Hmm.
That
Mhm.
and honestly, we
Yep.
need you. We need you to care for yourself because we need the gifts that you came into this world to give. And so it's just this full circle. It's just
Yeah.
that
And
is that
your
clear?
feelings, yes, and your
Okay,
feelings
yeah.
are a real thing. I think a lot of
Yes.
times we're just like, oh, I'm just in a funk. Oh, I'm there's the just with it, like I'm just a little sad today. That maybe like let's maybe get rid of the just,
Let's do it.
because I
Yeah.
think we diminish our own feelings a
Yes,
lot
we
of
do.
times when we say that. And with people that we care about, I think a lot of times we're like, honey, you're just feeling a little blue today. It comes from a good place to say that, but it's not helpful.
No.
Oh,
No.
The just really diminishes it.
No. I
yeah.
want if you made it to the end of this, and I hope you did because it was so worth it. This was just wonderful. I want you to fly the wings of worthiness. Fly your wings of your worthiness. That is how I want to leave you today. So, yeah. Um, thank you,
Uh,
Liz. Thank you. I
Thank you
just,
both.
yeah.
Thank you, Liz. So good.
Thank you,
So good.
Karen, for being here. And I'm
Thank
just
you,
so
Angie.
excited. Yeah. Oh, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you don't miss the next one. And make sure you reach out to Liz and make sure you share this so that maybe it's not
Tell
something you
people.
need right now, but people need this. I see it.
Yeah,
I see it all the time. People
tell
need
people.
this. Yeah. Yeah. Thank y'all. Thank you.